Hello everyone, my name is Macsen. Welcome to my Sid Meier Civilization Beyond Earth Let's Play. So for this first video, it's going to be very heavy on details. There will be some gameplay, but not an awful lot. But in future videos, there will be a heck of a lot more. I'll get through the turns a lot quicker. So before I get started, first of all, I'm going to show off the options. If you want to skip straight to the gameplay, then you can click here on the annotation link. I'm not going to go into details about the options. If you want to check them out in more detail, you can just pause the video or ask me about them in the comments. Let's actually set up the game then. So single player, set up game. Now those of you who are new to the channel may not be aware that I'm a very experienced Civilization player. I've played well over 1,000 hours of Civilization 5. There's actually 5 Let's Plays of Civ 5 on my channel of Brave New World. And I've also been watching pretty much every preview Let's Play and preview video of Beyond Earth, so I'm very clued up on things. So even though this is basically my first game, it should seem as if I've been playing this game for a very long time. So for difficulty, I'm going to start on Gemini. It's probably similar to Emperor difficulty of Civ 5. In the next Let's Play I'll move up to Sawyers and then maybe from there up to Apollo. For game pace, I'll play on a standard game pace. And for map size, I'm going to play on a small map. I believe the standard size map in Beyond Earth is bigger than the standard size map in Civ 5. Although I'm not 100% sure of that. It certainly seems that way from the preview videos I've seen though. Okay, so sponsors. Sponsors are basically like civilizations. You have 8 to choose from, though I'm sure there'll be many more coming in DLC in the future. These are basically geopolitical regions or nations that form after an event called the Great Mistake. The Great Mistake is an event, basically, Firaxis has released a video which they say the details in it aren't exactly canon, but I'm going to mention them to you anyway. There's basically a nuclear war in Asia between China, Pakistan and Iran. So that causes a huge amount of migration and asylum seekers all over the world. The nuclear warfare causes climate change, so the sea levels rise, which affects the whole world. So many places end up being underwater, and it basically throws Earth into a mini dark age. And this event takes place between about 50 to, I don't know, 200 to 400 years ahead in the future of our time. So these redeveloped nations, all of them are nations apart from ARC, which is actually a company. That's the American Reclamation Corporation. The civilizations or sponsors aren't really as strong as, say, the Civ 5 civs. They don't have unique units or special abilities. Well, they have special abilities, but they're quite small in nature. Generally, they just push you in a certain direction. So, say the Ark, they would push you towards trying to get more spies. Franco-Iberia is very much culture related. Brasilia, warfare. Australia, trade, and money. For the nation that I'm going to be playing as, though, I'm going to be playing as the African Union. They get 10% food in growing cities when they're healthy. So it's very much in your interest to keep your cities healthy. You have a variety of other options here, though, which you can use to more customize your civilization and throw them even more in a certain direction. So let's move on to those. Okay, so first of all, we have to choose what colonists we want to put on our spaceship. Now, because we're the African Union, I think it's a very good idea if I pick a bonus that gives us health, since when we're healthy, we get that growth bonus. So there's actually 2 options which give you health. Health is basically the equivalent of happiness from Civ 5. It's a expansion limiting mechanic. It's nowhere near as restrictive as the happiness system was in Civ 5. You can very much go into unhealth and still have a function in Civ, unlike, well, if you basically went over 10 unhappiness in Civ 5 or even below zero unhappiness and survive, you were in big problems. Certainly wasn't something you wanted to do. But there are other options here that we can pick. I'm going to be picking artists. Scientist is always a good pick. Refugees is especially good on maps that lack food. Engineers is alright, a bit of extra production can be very helpful. Aristocrats would probably be my second pick here if I wasn't picking artists, but the culture, basically you can get virtues, which is basically like the social policy system. It's quite hard to get early on, so culture's a very good pick, and I'd probably pick that in most circumstances with most of the sponsors actually. Okay, so onto the spacecraft. Almost definitely the weakest option here in my opinion is fusion reactor. You basically get an extra 100 energy. Energy is basically gold in the game. 100 energy to start with isn't really enough to buy anything apart from tiles. You won't have enough to buy units or buildings with that amount. Continental Surveyor is a fantastic option if you're on a very water-based map. I'm not sure what map type I'm going to be picking yet, so I'm probably not going to pick that. This basically allows you to see all the outside bits of all the land on the map, so it reveals islands, for example. This makes it a lot easier to trade with other civilizations, since you can only trade with someone if you have a direct access to their cities. The Lifeform Sensor, this reveals alien nests on the map. Aliens are a bit like barbarians, except for a lot more powerful. They can cause you a lot more problems early on. Knowing where the aliens are means you can explore much more effectively. You're much less likely to lose your explorer units and your workers, and even lose your odd soldier or two. And also knowing where the alien nests are, you can probably guess how big a landmass is based on that as well, especially on larger map types. That could definitely be very useful. Tectonic Scanner, when I first heard about this I thought it was going to be the best pick. To be honest, I think it's a good pick, but it's not the pick I'm going for. You can actually research the techs that you need to get petroleum and titanium quite early on, and it generally is a good idea to do so. And to be honest, you don't really need to know about geothermal until much later on. You tend to use the geothermal strategic resource for late game wonders, so it's not very useful early on. The pick I'm going to be taking though is Retrograde Thrusters. This gives you a much bigger visibility area around your starting location, and also you can choose to settle in an area larger than normal, 1 hex larger than normal. So you've probably got up to around 20 hexes to choose from instead of 7. Also, being able to see quite a large area means you can plan your early cities much better. You get to see all of the affinity based strategic resources in your area as well, which is very helpful, as well as the bonus resources. I think this is a very good pick in most circumstances, so that's the pick I'm going to be taking. Next choice is Cargo. Probably not as important as the other picks you make, but still can give you a nice bonus. Hydroponics gives you an extra population, so you can get up and running quicker straight away in your city. Laboratory, that gives you pioneering technology straight away. Pretty good pick. Basically, you need pioneering technology to be able to create colonists. You're probably not going to be wanting to make colonists straight away and found extra cities. You probably want to grow a bit and do some exploring. But also this gives you access to the trade depot, and trade is incredibly important in Beyond Earth, much more so than Civ 5. Raw materials, that gives you a clinic building, probably the weakest I'd say out of the 5. Clinic building gives you an extra point of health and an extra point of science. Point of science is nice, but you might as well just pick laboratory, a free tech, rather than have +1 science early on. You do get a quest, which can give you a further boost to health, but yeah, I don't think clinic's all that good in my opinion. Weapons arsenal, you can start with a soldier unit. Well, it could be worse. It's not bad. It's probably in the same league as the clinic though in my opinion. machinery, you start with an extra worker with that option. It can be a bit risky having a worker with nothing to defend it early on. Aliens could pick it off quite easily. But that's the pick I'm actually going to be taking. Okay, so next, map type. Now, I actually have pre-ordered the game, so I have a variety of extra maps available to me, but I'm not going to be playing on any of those in this first Let's Play. I'm going to be playing on a random world. Now, a random world in Beyond Earth basically chooses from one of these three maps here. The Terran world is equivalent to continents from Civ 5. The Protean world is equivalent to a Pangea in Civ 5. And the Atlantean world, you would think it might be an archipelago, but it's not actually. It's quite similar to a fractal map, although that icon certainly doesn't suggest that. There is archipelago available here in the advanced option, advanced world option. There's also an advanced setup. I'm not going to be changing anything here. I'm going to be leaving animations on, leaving all the victory types on. There are different terrain types. There are a variety of different biomes, lush biome, fungal and desert biomes. I'm going to leave that random as well. And I think we're pretty much ready to get started, so I'll start the game. Okay, so we get a bit of a story bit here every time we load the game, so I'll read this. Our purpose has never been clearer. Tomorrow we embark on a journey into the stars. We will rely upon each other to forge our fate. Even when our feet touch upon unknown soil, we shall not falter. We will walk upon a new planet, and its name shall be home. Okay, so if you're familiar with Civ 5, then this should be reasonably familiar with you. Hexagons, 1 unit per tile, 4x, space-based strategy game. Beyond Earth most definitely is not a sequel to Alpha Centauri as well, I should point out, although there is the odd homage to it here and there in the tech tree. Right, so our visibility of our starting area is very large because we used the what's it called, Retrograde thruster pick. So we can see a lot more than we normally be able to see, and we can also settle up to 2 hexes away from this center tile here. Normally it would only be 1 ring around the hex tile. So where do I want to found my first city? There seems to be a lot of tundra up north. I think this biome is probably a lush biome, I'm guessing. There's a lot of green on it. We could have had arid or fungal. So what strategic resources are nearby? That's probably the most important thing I need to try and figure out. There's xenomass there, fraxite there, fraxite there. These basically are resources that are used to power your affinity later on, but I'll go into more details about affinities in the future. But I probably want to be starting next to some of these maybe. I definitely want to start on a coastline. That'll give me more options to do with trade, I think. There's an algae resource there. Actually, if I founded a city there, I'd have 2 algae within 3 tiles. I'd also have that fraxite. How much fraxite again? 5, and that's 6 there. Yeah, if I settled there, it's quite northerly, which ain't great, but I've got some very good bonus resources. I think I am going to found my first city there then. Yeah, let's do that. Those 2 bonus resources I'll work with my city straight away. And our spacecraft has landed, setting up our first city of Macsen. Right, so we've got our free worker, which I picked. Remind you of my picks here. So what was it? Machinery, that gives the free worker. Artist, retrograde thrusters. Map type is Terran. Terran is the continents map, so that's what we got for our random pick. It doesn't tell you the biome, but it's yeah, I'm pretty sure it's lush biome here. Okay, so for our first population point, I should probably work a good tile. I don't know if it's as important to lock down your tiles as it was in Civ 5. I'm not sure. In Civ 5 you used to get extra yields when your city grew if you locked down your tiles. I probably won't be doing that in this first game, but if I find out that it does give you a bonus, I might do it in future. Well, I'll lock down those tiles for now. Right, I'll bring that worker up there to that tile to work that next turn. This is an explorer unit. This is basically a cross between a scout from Civ 5 and an archaeologist unit. They have expedition modules which you can use to dig up crashed satellites or alien skeletons, or excavate long gone cities, or, well, not cities, stations I think it is, or derelict domes I believe. So where do I want to move this explorer to? I wouldn't mind knowing a bit more about the coastline. The other civilizations actually haven't settled yet. They settle at random times in the future, so I don't have to worry about them too much yet. I think I'll come over to this tile here. Right, so there's a few other things. So victory is updated. There are 5 different victory types, each with different conditions. I think you have to complete about 3 or 4 different conditions for each victory type before you can win one of them, or win via one of them. 3 of the victory types are to do with the affinities. The affinities are basically a philosophy for the development of mankind. So you have 3 affinities to choose from. I'll start off with purity. All of the affinities have bonuses and their own unique units, so they all have different play styles. I also have different unique buildings as well. You don't have to focus on one affinity, but in general it is a good idea, since the strength of your units and your military upgrades is linked to how developed you are in a certain affinity. If you have a rainbow effect and only don't focus on one of them, you tend to end up being backward in your military strength. So purity is basically a glorification of what it is to be human, the past and the present. They basically shun trying to fit in on the planet. They basically want to make the planet Earth-like. So they're very much into terraforming, farm type techs, and basically remaining what it is to be human at the present day time. The harmony affinity is the desire to become native to this planet that we've landed on. So basically it's they tend to like to integrate genes from other life forms into the human genome, and also to get along with the native life forms. And supremacy is the desire to basically be able to settle on any planet type going and succeed. It's a glorification of technology and robots and basically bionics. So by the end of the supremacy tree, humans would be very different. They'd probably be walking machines as much as organic life forms, and the harmony option would end up turning humanity into whatever creatures are on that planet, a mixture of the creature and humanity. Right, so that's basically the affinities, and each of those affinities, as I think I was saying, have their own victory type. So Promised Land is to do with purity, Transcendence is harmony, Emancipation is supremacy, and I'm not sure which affinity I'm going yet. Based on the strategic resources nearby, probably either supremacy or harmony. So Fraxite is supremacy linked, and Xenomass is harmony linked. Contact is arguably the tech victory type condition. It's basically getting in contact with an alien sentient race that doesn't exist on the planet but is somewhere else. And domination is basically a conquest victory. It's slightly different. Well, actually the domination victory in Beyond Earth is similar to the vanilla Civ 5, so you basically have to be in possession of your own capital. and that's it to win the game. All the other, as long as all the other opponents don't have their capital, you win then. Right, so that's victory conditions. Right, so I've moved the Explorer. Close that. We found the resource pods. The resource pods are very similar to ruins from Civ 5, barbarian ruins. Well, it's not really barbarian ruins. The nests, I suppose, well, the aliens, I suppose, are similar to barbarians, and the alien nests are similar to barbarian camps, I would say. So I probably want to move my Explorer towards that pod, actually, which maybe I've sent him in the wrong direction now. Research. Probably one of the coolest features as Beyond Earth is the tech web. It's not a tech tree. So you have a huge amount of techs to choose from. I've heard that some people think that it doesn't look as if there's many techs, but it looks a lot to me. There's probably as many techs in this game as there are in Civ 5. There's at least 80 odd, I think, or near to that. So the techs are separated by branches. I start with habitation. So we have a worker, explorer, a soldier, an old earth relic, and a clinic to start off with, being able to make all of those. We have 5 techs to choose from. 6 actually. No, actually, maybe even 7 actually. Those 2 there. The top techs are the branch techs, and the ones below them are leaf techs. And you have basically rings or tiers. I can only say research social dynamics if I go through the branch techs that are linked to it. So I'd have to go up to genetics and either cognition or genetic design to be able to research this. And if I wanted to research those leaf techs, I'd have to research that. All of the icons are slightly different. You can see this octagonal type shape are buildings. The crescent type icons are wonders. Those are improvement type techs. So you can see that gives a bonus to paddocks. That will give bonus to xenomass well and biowells. You have improvements. So you have a node there, a terrascape. They're like faded slightly. You have your strategic resources, petroleum, titanium, and geothermal. The affinity strategics are already available or visible on the map. You have your affinity based leaf techs. All of the affinity techs are leaf techs as well, so they're harder to get to. And you can see here that's a battlesuit. That's a unique unit for the purity faction or affinity. So basically the tech web is extremely cool. I can't wait to use it a lot. The first tech I'm probably going to go for is chemistry. That revealed petroleum, which isn't massively useful at the start, but it'd be nice to know where it is so I can plan my future cities better. And recycler is really important build-in. That will give us some much needed production to start off, and also laboratory will give us some extra science. I think that's probably the best pick here. We're on a continent style map, aren't we? So water-based isn't going to be hugely important. Although I would like to make the work barge with those algae tiles at some point, actually. Okay, right, so production. What am I going to make? I'm going to make an old earth relic, get our culture on the go. I want to get the virtues, which is basically the social policy system in Beyond Earth. Similar to Civ 5. Send the turn. So there's a pod down here, isn't there? The Explorer unit, as I mentioned before, I believe, is very similar to the Scout, so it goes through rough terrain, including rivers at normal speed. I think the fact that I'm up here, I might as well explore a bit up here, though. There's actually a native life form there, an alien wolf beetle. Now, these would absolutely wreck an Explorer unit if I let them, but the alien life forms tend to only attack usually if you go near their nests. So as long as I don't go within 2 tiles of a nest, it probably won't attack me, but although it might still. Sometimes it does. Let's construct a plantation there. Oh, that tile is actually on a forest. Maybe I should have worked that one first then, actually. think I might move it to there. So that's a small minor mistake from my part already. You saw there we actually had a loss of hit points. That's because this unit has ended its turn in miasma. Miasma is a toxic gas that exists on the planet. It can be very bad actually, especially early on. If you happen to go the harmony direction for affinities though, later on miasma can be very beneficial to the harmony affinity factions. Okay, so let's move one more tile over there. More alien life forms. There probably is a nest over here. I think I should start to come back this way then. Let's go and pick up that pod. That's going to take a while to chop down that forest. I think I'm going to move it there then. But I'll keep working that tile since there's one more production there than that one. And it's out of movement. I still don't know the hotkey for selecting units as well. I need to find that. All the F1 keys, similar to Sci-Fi, have a lot of different options. There's Civilopedia here. That's the economic screen. That's F2. I'm going in left to right and F keys. So that's F3. F4 is diplomacy. F5 are your virtue screen. I'll go into details about that later. Tech web F6. F7 notification log. Quest log is F8. Actually, I'm not sure I mentioned quests, have I? And F10 trade routes. F11 save. Do I have any quests? No, I don't. Right, so I don't have to mention them then. I'll mention things as they come along, basically, in general. This explorer unit, let's get that towards that pod then. Come down here. And next turn. Okay. That can continue its journey over there. It looks as if there's a coastline there. Problem with going in this direction with the explorer unit, I'm not finding anything new really, which is a bit of a pain. Right, so we've actually got a quest update. So the quest system basically gives you bonuses when you complete the quest. It's also kind of a mixture between a tutorial system and also a story based system as well. Similar to what it was in Alpha Centauri, you had a storyline in the background. So this first quest we have here is we basically have to found an outpost. So we need to research pioneering to get that. Pioneering, it basically can't found cities until you get that colonist there. So that's high on my priority list. And you can actually pick that for your one of your choices, can't you? Which one was it? Your spacecraft choice. You can pick it as I think it is. Right, quest updated. Oh, I've done that. Population grew. Let's use... I don't want to use that. I want the food at this point. Okay, next turn. Let's explore. Oh, there's a potential for me to do an expedition here. That's a derelict settlement. Generally, I believe those give you culture or population points. I think I'll get the pod first, and then I'll come back over to get that. You can see here we have expedition modules. Ooh, what's that? There's actually a nest on that xenomass tile. Wow, there's a lot of xenomass there. Actually, there's 8. So maybe I should go in the harmony direction since there's so much xenomass nearby. There's more now than Fraxite. We don't have any of floatstone, which is what purity gives. Okay, alien's getting a bit close to my starting location, which is a bit of a worry potentially. In general, it's best to keep out of miasma. I have to be careful about that. Right, the virtue screen. So, very similar to social policies. You have 4 different ones to choose from. Might, prosperity, knowledge, industry. This basically focuses on military bonuses as well as affinity bonuses. Prosperity, very much like the tradition and liberty trees from Civ 5. It also has a heck of a lot of health bonuses. So I probably will be picking this as one of my primary virtue picks for the African Union, since they have a bonus to do with having enough health to keep growing. Knowledge focuses mainly on science and culture. Very good tree. It's actually got nerfed quite a bit since the preview build. So yeah, I might I think I'll actually probably go into knowledge tree a bit in this as well. Industry focuses on trade to a large extent, and production and energy. Right, so which pick do I want to make first? And also I should mention you actually get extra bonuses up here. So these bonuses up top, you get these for going deep into a virtue tree. So say I got 10 of the prosperity virtues, it doesn't matter which ones, any 10 of the green ones, and I would get that bonus, and for all 15 I would get that bonus. You can actually get bonuses here as well. You get these for taking virtues across a row. So say for the first one you have to get 6 virtues from any of the virtues in this row here, from might, prosperity, knowledge, or industry. I could say get 3 from here, 1 from there, and 2 from there, and that would unlock that first bonus, synergy bonus, and I'd get a free virtue for that. And those future ones are also unlocked by going across the rows. So those ones are across that row, and the final one is across that row. Very hard to get that last one though. But the virtue I'm going to take, because I think I should take foresight to start off with. Basically, if we're going to be trying to keep healthy, I might as well get this bonus here for extra science while we're healthy. And then I'm going to switch back to prosperity, I think, to get some health. There's also this bonus later on for positive health, but it's probably going to be pretty hard to keep healthy early on, and excuse me, and actually expand at a decent rate, so we're going to have to figure that out a bit. Right, so that's end of turn. Okay, I think I'm actually going to have to call this an end of the first video. I don't want it going over half an hour by too much. Sadly I haven't got through too many turns. I had to cover a lot of the basic details about the game in this first video, so I kind of slow things down a bit. I hope you've enjoyed this first video though. If you have and you fancy helping me out, please give this video a like. If there are any comments or questions you'd like to ask, then please do ask away in the comment section. And also, you may want to subscribe to my channel. There are other Let's Plays of strategy games like this one on here, like Civ 5, as well as Inner Space Disharmony, and Europa Universalis 4, and also Galactic Civilizations 3. And I think that covers just about everything, so thank you for watching, and please watch the next video. And if you do, I'll see you then.